I'm Jared Lintner, Tackle Warehouse Pro, and in this week's vlog, we're going to continue to talk about the 2010 Bassmaster Elite Series season, and we're going to start off with KVD's win at Kentucky Lake. Basically, as everyone knows, he's pretty much the man there. You know, post spawn that time of year, he gets out on those river channel ledges and the creek channel bends, and he throws this new crankbait, the Strike King 6 XD. And you know, he was actually fishing those schools of fish that were suspended off of the structure, which is very hard to do, you know. But he's one of the best at throwing a crankbait, and he's got the right areas. And I mean, with this bait in his hands, he's deadly. And basically, what he's doing, make a real long cast, getting those fish to trigger. And you know, when he made his rotations, what was kind of cool is that this crankbait here has the rattle in it. And after he had already gone through, caught the active fish, he would actually turn around and throw the silent version of this, which is available for pre-order at Tackle Warehouse right now, and go back through and catch those fish that were a little more, you know, sketchy to catch. And you know, the other thing that he was doing, of course, with his crankbaits is he's replacing all of them with those Mustad KVD Elite Series treble hooks, and which was very important, you know, because when you're fighting those fish on a long cast, if you don't have a good hook, you're going to lose a lot of them. And he was catching a few of his fish on the Rage Tail 10-inch Thumper by Strike King with a 5/0 Mustad big mouth tube hook. And you know, when things slowed down or they weren't pulling as much current, that allowed him to stay on his schools of fish and catch a few that were kind of lethargic. And he was also coating all of his baits with his fish sticks fish attractant, you know, which, I mean, every little bit helps when you're out there, you know, especially on those lakes that are getting a lot of pressure. I was doing a kind of similar stuff. I was fishing the main creek channel bends. I was throwing a Jackall Muscle Deep 15. You know, I'd start off with that, especially when they were pulling water. You know, they seemed to bite that bait really, really good. And then also I had some shell beds. I was throwing the new Plum 12-inch power worm. You know, just a little bit longer in length. And you know, I caught several good fish on that. And then also I was throwing two different types of jigs. I was throwing the Jewel football head jig. You know, when it was kind of a shell bed or mud type bottom, you know, I'd drag this along there with a brush hog trailer, big brush hog trailer. Those fish like big baits. And then when I got around more sticky stuff, stumps, bigger rocks, I'd throw the Omega structure jig, which is really cool. It doesn't get hung up. It's got a good hook in it. And I just go through my rotations with those four baits and catch them. And then we went to, we were supposed to be at the Arkansas River and got changed to Fort Gibson, where another local favorite, Tommy Biffle, ended up blowing the tournament out. You know, like I said with Jason Williamson last vlog, it's very hard to win at your home lake, but he managed to do it. And the key to his success was his new Gene Larew Biffle bug. And basically the whole thing that he was doing was really, really cool. He had a Gene Larew Hardhead, Biffle Hardhead jig, and basically what he'd do is he'd rig this on there, and this is not the Hardhead, but I'm using it as an example. It basically has a unique swivel that comes off the base of this head and allows the hook to go back and forth, creating, you know, it's a totally different appeal than fish have ever seen before. And those are available for pre-order at Tackle Warehouse right now. I mean, they're very hard to get, but it's a really cool bait. And basically, he was just fishing like a crankbait. He'd make a real long cast. I seen him throughout the day running around, and he was fishing 10 to 20 foot and fishing that on the bottom just like a crankbait, but it's much different than the fish I've ever seen. And you know, he definitely knows the right areas to fish, and he caught fish all around guys that were fishing, you know, crankbaits, Carolina rigs, things like that. So that is going to be a fish catcher this year. You got to get him. I was basically, you know, fishing offshore. I found a pretty unique spot. I thought the first day I had a really good bag, and basically I'd start off cranking in the morning. Here's a fat-free shad. This is the actual bait I was throwing in that tournament, as well as the Jackall MC 60 MR, the medium runner. I had two different types of baits because it seemed like that lake gets a lot of pressure, and you know, you catch a couple on it and they're done biting. So I'd rotate between these two crankbaits right here, and then when they slowed down, the sun got up higher, I would Carolina rig just a baby brush hog, just watermelon red flake. I dip the tails in chartreuse and just make real long casts on this little shell bed point I found next to the deep water channel, and just, you know, I'd catch them throughout the day. When that slowed down, or, you know, I just got kind of bored fishing the same old spot, I'd throw my buddy's worm. This is the Squirrel worm, Kriet squirrel worm, and basically, you know, I was fishing on his squirrel tail head, and you know, I was fishing docks, things like that, and you know, I was putting some fish in the boat. It was a good tournament. You know, I had a lot of fun at that lake. And I didn't end up qualifying for the end of the year 12 boat championship to decide angler of the year. Wish I was there. Hopefully I'll be there next year. I plan on it. But the first one at Lake Jordan was won by Russ Lane. And basically, you know, he grew up fishing that lake. Everybody knows, it's no secret. He's fished there for years, grew up fishing it. So he had the right areas, and basically he was on the crankbait. He's throwing a big fat-free shad. He was throwing the Spro, Little John DD, as well as the DD22 made by Bill Norman. And you know, he's just making long casts, bouncing it off structure near the creek channel bends where those fish are funneling out. Then when those fish slowed down, he's throwing the 10-inch Kriet tail worm by Big Bite, and he caught several of his fish on that. So that tournament, you know, it came down to just you know, making repetitive casts on the right areas, and knowing what you're fishing down there is very important in the summertime. Then to decide the angler of the year, everything got really tight after that event. KVD ended up winning it on the last day, just like he did last year at the Alabama River. Basically, he used 3 baits, but 2 of them were his primary bait. He used the Strike King Series 5 and 6, Sexy Chartreuse Shad, as well as his new, these are new, they're available on pre-order at Tackle Warehouse, KVD 1.5 and 2.5. And, you know, he just has the right spots, and you know, I mean, he's a heck of a fisherman that time of year, and you know, these baits have proven to be successful for him. So, you know, great job to KVD, and hopefully I'll be there to try to settle you down next year. All right.